the bulk of the discussion in the European Council was about the important topic of energy. And the magnitude of the energy crisis calls absolutely for both a sense of urgency and a strategic foresight. And I think we should not forget where we came from. We have made more progress than we thought ever possible, because we should not forget that at the beginning of this war, since the beginning of this war, Putin has cut 80% of the pipeline gas supply to the European Union, 80%. And in only 8 months, we have managed to replace most of it. We have more than doubled, for example, the imports of LNG from the United States, from 22 BCM last year to 48 BCM this year so far. This has, among others, made it possible for us to fill our storages today by 95%. And at the same time, we have reduced our gas consumption by 15%. I have not forgotten, at the beginning of this war, how Putin tried to put pressure on us through energy, and how some feared that we would have blackouts in Europe when the war started. So, honourable members, not only did this dark scenario not materialise, but now we are fully prepared for the winter. And crucially, gas prices have dropped by roughly 2/3 compared to the peak that we had in August. So Putin really tried everything to bring us down to our knees. He completely failed. We have all played our part to make this happen, and I think we can be proud of this. Meine Damen und Herren Abgeordnete.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the weeks that have just gone by, there are a number of measures that have been taken to bring the prices down. A price break, for example, that is on its way. Also, when it comes to the excessive profits of energy companies, we can use those to help and also obviously look at the use of energy in various essential areas. We've also looked at the plans for gas and better design for our electricity market. This is all well and good. This is all extremely important, and it does put us in a good position looking towards the coming winter. Nevertheless, I think it's important that we do discuss today what is coming our way in terms of making sure we cover our gas storage needs, because we're going to have problems next year with this. In the spring, there are going to be 3 additional factors that are going against us. First of all, obviously, there's a risk that Russia squeezes out that last 20%, stops that last 20% getting to us. Then the question of provision of liquid natural gas coming our way, and the possibility that the LNG coming onto the market early next year will be insufficient. And thirdly, we have to reckon that Asia, if we see the economy picking up again, will take the lion's share of this LNG supply. What that means is the result of these 3 factors together may lead to a considerable risk that at the end of next summer, about 30 billion cubic litres of LNG will be missing to stock up for the next winter for storage. So if these 3 factors come concurrently, that may be an issue.
As I was describing these 3 risks, we are now getting prepared to tackle these potential risks. But we should not forget that in doing so, we are also setting the right course for the future. Because our choices today will determine whether we have the right energy we need for 2023 and beyond. So this is why today I would like to focus on 2 topics that are crucial. The first topic is renewables. It is no exaggeration to say that we stand at a crossroads. We can decide right now that either we ignore the lessons that we have learned in this crisis and fall again into the trap of a carbon lock-in for the future, or we use this crisis to leapfrog into clean energy. And this is not only good for our climate, but it is also good for our security and our independence, especially in times when gas is and will stay a scarce commodity. The good news is in this scenario that we are ready to accelerate. By the end of the year, we will have achieved the largest growth in renewables in the history of the European Union. This is almost a further 50 gigawatt that we will have additionally as renewables in the market, which is double what we had added last year. And we could accelerate even more. There are countless renewable projects that are just waiting to be approved. Some could deliver cheap energy immediately in a matter of weeks or months. I'm thinking, for example, of solar panels on existing buildings, or I'm thinking of repowering of wind parks. But we know that far too many of these projects are stuck because of long permitting procedures. Now, our new Renewable Energy Directive that you have already voted on in plenary addresses this topic. But it will take time, well over a year, before this directive is translated into national law by all member states. So with these extraordinary circumstances our citizens and industries are facing, we do not have the luxury of time. And this is why today we are proposing a new emergency regulation under Article 1 to 2 to immediately speed up permitting for renewable energy projects with a rapid impact. This proposal will be limited in time and scope. It will be in line with what you have voted on, and it will be bridging the gap until the new Renewable Energy Directive comes into force. And by doing so, we can unlock a myriad of renewable projects already in the next 12 months. So this is a very decisive move right now. According to the calculations by the International Energy Agency, we could replace 14 billion cubic meter of gas already next year. And that's almost half of our potential gap I was just describing, just by speeding up the permitting of these projects. This is realistic, and we all can pull off this together, and I think we should grab the opportunity right now. Mesdames et messieurs les députés.
Ladies and gentlemen, the second point I'd like to make. We have to ensure European industry's competitiveness. This job of work starts here, starts in Europe. Our intensive industries, glass, chemicals, etc., they use a lot of energy and they need to have access to a lot of cheap energy. But in these times, which are particularly difficult, prices have increased considerably vis-à-vis our main competitors. Many of our companies have ended up in serious problems, and this is why we've updated the temporary framework for crisis to deal with state aids. We've increased the ceilings for state aid for SMEs and energy-intensive industries. However, not all member states have the means to grant state aids. While all the member states need to increase and accelerate their investments to reduce the demand for energy and to increase the production of renewables. And that is where Repower EU will have an effect.
Is where Repower EU comes into play. Because if we boost the financial firepower of Repower EU, we will ensure that all member states have the possibility to realize these critical investments. In other words, this would give every member state the same opportunity to prepare for the future and at the same time some fiscal space to support vulnerable households and businesses. So let's go for it. And this work is also helpful against the backdrop of an intensifying global clean tech race. Because it will keep Europe attractive for industry. Let me be very clear. I do welcome global competition. This drives innovation, it enhances efficiency, and it ensures progress. At the same time, in order to be effective, this global competition has to be fair. We need a level playing field. We do not want to see market distortions or discrimination against our companies. So let's make sure that this is not a race to the bottom, but this is a race to the top for our climate and for our industry. That's what Europe stands for, and I know that's also what this Parliament stands for. Long live Europe, and many thanks.
Thank you very much. President von der Leyen, I give the floor now.